Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. 2 of the 3 students charged with the assault of a schoolgirl outside of the Lester Vaughan Secondary School are off to lockup. Kareem Smith has the story.
It's a case which continues to be a hot topic on the lips of Barbadians. The accused include 2 female students, 15 and 16 years old, as well as a 14-year-old boy. The 14 and 16-year-old were accompanied by their parents, while the 15-year-old came to court with her aunt. A few people were outside of the District D Magistrate's Court following the development surrounding the 3 school children charged with assault and occasioning actual bodily harm to a female student just outside the Lester Vaughan School last Wednesday. They appeared before Magistrate Ian Weeks and were prosecuted by Sergeant Darwin Thompson. The 14 and 16-year-olds pleaded guilty to the offences, with the former being remanded to the Government Industrial School and the latter to Dodds Prison to await sentencing. The 15-year-old pleaded not guilty and was released on bail, as the court would not hear her case without the parents present. A woman who identified herself as a concerned mother says she was at the court from 9 a.m. because she wants to see justice for the beaten teenager. The victim is being represented by attorney-at-law Verla De Pisa, while the accused are unrepresented. The 2 who pleaded guilty are expected back in court next Monday to hear their fate, while the 15-year-old will go on trial. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
The Ministry of Health's Vector Control Unit has a new mosquito fighting tool, and Class 4 students of the St. Philip Primary School got a first-hand look at it. Sharika Griffith has more.
Ever wondered what goes on at the fish breeding facility of the Vector Control Unit? The mostly solar-powered structure has 18 tanks, where 2 species of fish are bred, guppies and mollies. Environmental Health Assistant Dennis Maskell says these fish are known to eat mosquito larvae and therefore help control the population.
There's about 300 wetlands in the island at this present moment, which the swamp here is responsible for maintaining the freeness of the mosquitoes. We use the fish, and when we go into the areas and there's no fish in the ponds of the wetlands, we take some of the fish from here and fish from here and place inside all the wetlands through the island.
Given that her charges are doing a project on the fishing industry, Class 4 teacher Sandra Williams says they've been touring various places, including a fish market.
Where they saw the fish being clean and said gutted, you know, they were very excited. Actually, some of them wanted to know if they can go back and work, right? And they were asking about, you know, jobs in the fishing industry. So I think that sort of whet their appetite for this, which led up to this tour.
Their latest trip was to the fish rearing facility in Graham Hall, where the students saw the little fish with the big task. Here's what they learned.
That there are many types of different fish, and guppies and mollies eat larvae. The mosquitoes lay their eggs in water, and when the eggs hatch, the fish will eat them.
But the tour didn't end there, as the students also made a stop at the Animal Control Center in Black Rock. There, they made 2 new friends, Lulu and Mindy. Animal Control Inspector Benjamin Licorice explains the reason for their school outreach program.
We recognize very early that these are agents of change, and if you want things to happen, they can apply social pressure in their homes, whereby they can get mommy and daddy to comply with the regulations that exist.
And again, we tested the little one's knowledge.
How often are you supposed to bathe the dog?
Once a month.
Why is that?
Because if you bathe it more often, that the oil that it's supposed to have in the skin will actually divorce.
Senior Environmental Health Officer Maurice Gaskin says there are plans to invite other schools to tour such facilities, which he hopes will expose students to potential careers. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
There's mixed response so far from people who hope to benefit financially from Carey Festa 13. Festival Director Andrea Wells says many of the concerns have come from people who are hoping to provide accommodation for the delegates who are expected on island.
on the website, the Carey Festa website, where we're encouraging people to book via the Intimate Hotels of Barbados, or Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association. We know the internet really has made democratic access to all sorts of accommodations of all types very, very equal. And we do know from the questions that we're fielding from our delegations coming from around the region and beyond that they're looking for hotel and bed and breakfasts, the whole gamut, the wide range of accommodation choices.
Ms. Wells says space in the Grand Market is sold out, but there are still opportunities for vendors.
You can still call the Carey Festa Secretariat. You can still register with us. Once the program of activities are scheduled, that calendar, along with every performance event and indeed every exhibition, there will be opportunities for vendors and concessionaires, because we must make sure that all of our artists and the guests attending these exhibitions and shows are adequately fed and watered. So though Grand Market registration is closed, the opportunities for vending, the opportunities for small business still very much exist.
The festival director adds a satisfactory number of vendors have shown an interest in sponsoring the event at various levels. Local filmmakers are already beginning to reap some benefits from the industry. Culture Minister Stephen Lashley says it's still in its infancy, but the industry is showing great potential. He was addressing the launch of the 9th European Union Film Festival at the Olympus Theatres. Minister Lashley says some films produced in Barbados have been aired on television and in cinemas locally, regionally and internationally to very appreciative audiences.
It is reported that in 2014, Chrissy, the movie produced by Step by Step Productions, was shown to sold-out audiences in Barbados and premiered in Jamaica to a standing ovation. This film was also shown in Toronto, in Montreal, Ottawa, in London, Birmingham, and also in Antigua. Another local production entitled Keeping Up with the Joneses, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, yes, was a television series in 2011 and a movie in 2013. It was also shown in the United Kingdom as well.
The minister says local and regional filmmakers will have a unique opportunity when Carey Festa 13 starts on August 17th.
To date, we have 28 films of varying lengths registered for showing during the festival, which covers about 50% of the airtime allotted. As a result, Barbadians and visitors alike will have an opportunity to see the work of filmmakers from across the region, which will be on show right here at the Olympus Cinemas. There will also be 3 community movie nights, which will be held at Checker Hall in St. Lucie, the Glebe in St. George, and Dover in Christchurch.
In the meantime, more films will be screened from more countries in the European Union than ever before during this year's festival. 24 films comprising documentaries, crime, thrillers, comedy, and children's movies will be shown. And head of the European Union delegation to Barbados and patron of the festival, Daniela Tramasere, says they will give viewers a unique insight into life in Europe. She says rather than fear diversity, it should be embraced.
None more than you, the artists who are present in this room tonight, know the power of artistic expression, which has been used to break down religious, racial, and social prejudice. Intercultural dialogue, including interreligious dialogue, is a key tool in promoting the building of fair, full, and inclusive societies, as well as the value of culture and respect for human rights.
An historic plantation house was lost to fire last evening. Fire officials, on responding to the call, were met with raging flames that engulfed the Adams Castle Plantation House. The building is located in Christchurch in the Sheraton area. A team of 9 officers under the command of Acting Deputy Chief Fire Officer Earl Gaskin responded to the call before 7 last evening. Okay, we'll take a short break here and come back with more news.
We start with a yes. But when life takes unexpected turns, you can still say yes to more. The Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard credit card gives you points with every purchase that you can use to travel to anywhere. Plus, with just 20,000 Scotia points, you can say yes to destinations. With Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard credit card, it's easier to say yes to everything. Apply today.
Sign up to be a national volunteer for Exercise Tradewinds. Register online at exercisetradewinds2017.barbados.gov.bb or collect a form from the Barbados Government Information Service at the Old Town Hall building, Cheapside, the city. The Department of Emergency Management, number 30 Warrens Industrial Park, St. Michael. Barbados Defence Force bases at St. Anne's Fort, the Garrison, Paragon Base, Christchurch, and HMBS Pelican, Spring Garden, St. Michael. You must be 18 years and older. Exercise Tradewinds 2017, a seamless states partnership for a secure region.
This is what it sounds like when Celtic meets the Caribbean. Watch the Grassroots Music Barbados Celtic Festival Special. A fusion of classic Scottish music with Bajan spooch.
Scottish music would have been an integral part of what the slaves did, because it was the only way they could play.
The Grassroots Music Barbados Celtic Festival Special, May 25th, 9:03 p.m. on CBC TV8.
Your insurance payment doesn't have to be a burden. At Beacon, we're happy to help finance your premium and spread your payments over 9 months so that it's easier to manage. Call 436-6200 or log on to beacon.co.tt.
For many Barbadian women, being harassed is a daily and unavoidable encounter. According to some women who spoke to CBC this week, it often comes in the form of offensive comments and an invasion of personal space. But men beware. One attorney at law is advising that women can carry their complaints to court. Denise Blackman has that story.
This year alone, we have heard many groups speaking out against harassment and abuse against women and girls. And just one of their complaints was the treatment that they received as they go about their daily business on the island roads.
Women who spoke on and off camera say they have several negative encounters on the street.
My tall frame, my slim frame, my sexy frame, my hot frame. Oh, fat thing and big woman, I hate it. I don't like that sort of thing.
Do you think they see it as a compliment?
They may feel that you should look wrong when you're calling so, but I don't feel so. Yeah, right.
Do you look around?
Nope. I stoop my mug along.
And what happens when you don't look around?
They scares me, but I don't care. And then something I don't do, like, if I got my uniform for work, guard woman, I want you to guard me. I don't like that.
Girl, you look nice, and then they will throw negative talk at you like slat, and they want to do stuff for you, and they don't know how to carry on a conversation.
I don't think it's good. I think it's very rude, but obviously you can't tell people how to behave and stuff like that.
Every day she come down here, she looking so good.
Others I spoke to argue that is simply part of our culture. And some pin it on the women, saying it's up to them to dress modestly in order not to attract unwanted attention.
That is what man is seeing. You get where you coming from, that is what she is projecting. So a woman needs to step up and respect herself too, physically and spiritually.
I spoke to a woman who said when she goes to work in her guard uniform, she still receives offensive catcalls. What do you think about that?
I think that will come from men that lack control.
But as attorney at law Cara J. Kelman points out, that lack of control is punishable in court. It falls under the Minor Offences Act, which reprimands accosting, molesting, threatening, harassing, or following someone.
And as if you're in any street, any public place, or any highway.
So if you're in town, you could be in your school uniform, you could be on the beach, whatever, and that person is following about and saying, you know, the usual, my friend, or whatever, and if you don't answer, then they start to insult you. That is actually harassment.
If someone feels uncomfortable or threatened, she advises them to file a complaint immediately because it may be more difficult to identify or apprehend the perpetrator after a long period of time. The maximum punishment for harassment is $2,500, 2 years in prison, or both. Whether or not a person chooses to report the matter, Ms. Kelman reminds them the option is there.
Most women in Barbados or in the Caribbean would have these experiences from a young age where you just tend to expect it. You go into town, you're harassed, and it's the norm. And I don't think that we realize that we actually have legal recourse.
As for filing a complaint, most women said they never considered it.
I just let go because I tell myself they may know no better, so I give them a break.
Of course, not all actions count as an offense, and Ms. Kelman advises anyone with questions to seek legal counsel or search barbadosparliament.com for new and amended legislation. Denise Blackman, CBC News.
Close to 150 women have been encouraged to think of others as they seek to better themselves. That was the message to graduates of the latest King's Daughter program. Sharika Griffith tells us more.
Indies consulting company Lisa Cummins says there are people in this country who are struggling to get by. She believes those more fortunate have a responsibility to help others to overcome their circumstances.
We're talking about our own walk towards excellence. We're talking about how we have confronted the things that we have faced in our lives, the challenges that we have faced. We stand here tonight to celebrate the achievement of many of those goals, and we should be celebrating, absolutely. We must celebrate the attainment of excellence. But we are also called, at the same time, by virtue of those accomplishments, to be our brothers and sisters keepers, because we are daughters of a king. We are called, in our excellence, to own that we have a great responsibility in the midst of societal upheaval to nurture others towards excellence.
Ms. Cummins was the featured speaker at a graduation ceremony for the King's Daughter program. It's designed to empower women of all ages by helping them to let go of past failures and preparing them for the future. 143 participants between 13 to 70 years old enlisted in the most recent program, which lasted 14 weeks. During the ceremony, the women showcased their newfound confidence by modeling several outfits and even a wedding dress. President of the Women of Excellence and Empowerment Ministries, Andrea Harris, spoke about the successes of the program.
Last year, on the 11th of June, the Attorney General, who gave remarks here, commissioned us to host the King's Daughters program in the Government Industrial School Female Unit. We commenced that program on the 23rd of September last year. For 18 weeks, we conducted a modified King's Daughters program there. And on the 3rd of March this year, 23 of those young ladies graduated from that program.
She also announced plans to launch the program in St. Lucia and Jamaica. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Rally enthusiasts gearing up for action over the next 2 weeks are being cautioned to leave the stunts to the professionals, at least when driving on public roads. That's the advice from rally driver Justin Campbell.
The acts that you see us perform, again, we are professionals at a certain level and we do it in a safe, controlled environment. And we don't want road users doing that same thing on the road. And especially we have 2 weekends, the next 2 weekends are full of motorsport activity. It's the Sol Rally Barbados events, and this is the key time that I think this ad should be launched to remind road users, just to take it easy on the road and obey the speed limit.
Mr. Campbell has been named an ambassador in the Ministry of Transport and Works' new road safety campaign. He's hoping to encourage other young people to adopt better driving practices. Meanwhile, Assistant Superintendent Ronald Stanford says no research has been done to confirm whether there is in fact an upsurge in dangerous driving during rally events. However, he says extra patrols are dispatched during these times.
We have, in most cases, been deploying personnel, police officers on the roads leading from these events in an effort to calm that sort of driving. We will continue to do it and hope that along with our approach and with the campaign that we will see a reduction in that activity.
For the first time, Bunji Garlin and his wife Fayan Lyons will appear on stage at the One Love show. It's a continuation of efforts, according to organizers Volume Entertainment Incorporated, to unite the Caribbean through culture. Lisa Broom was at the event launch.
Bunji and Fayan will join on stage longtime featured artist Machel Montano and The Voice, back-to-back winner of Trinidad and Tobago's International Soca Monarch competition. Creative Director of Volume Entertainment, Leah Gajada, describes One Love as a vision of hope through unity and music at a time when the world appears to be falling apart. And Machel agrees, adding that One Love is the type of celebration needed now to show the beauty of the Caribbean and its people.
One Love has been celebrated in Trinidad and Tobago like no other time before this carnival, with Bunji and I doing the Bushead Stink and Dirty collaboration. And this is a mission that is very close to our heart, because this is about our history and our culture and our carnival. So we sometimes jump up and celebrate, but we want to always remind them that at the core of it is about love and unity.
Bunji Garlin says it's his first time in the thick of things for the Crop Over Festival, and he's looking forward to taking over the One Love stage.
All the traveling back and forth of the artists of the both islands over the years, bringing this into fruition right now. I think it's really going to be something to witness.
Culture Minister Stephen Lashley lauded the promoters for continuing to invest in the festival. He says theirs is an example of how the private sector can transform festivals across the region, including Crop Over.
I see the involvement of Caribbean artists and Caribbean management of festivals, not only in relation to what happens in Barbados, but across the region. There has to be a continuous synergy of that going on as we continue to build the cultural industry.
The show, now in its third year, was launched at the Crane Resort yesterday. It comes off on August 6th at the Concord Experience. Lisa Broom, Cbc News.
After the break, we'll take a look at stories making headlines across our region.
Diamond Dazzler, it's time to play. Diamond Dazzler, the new instant $250,000 scratch game from the Barbados Lottery. Available at select lottery outlets.
BMX 2017, I hope to see you there. From the 2nd to the 5th of June, 10 to 10 every day. With fashion and entertainment, furniture and design, food, services and activities with the whole family in mind. So come to the Lawyer Skin Sandy Fun Center, don't you stick. BMX 2017, we go way back to basics. We go way back to basics. BMX.
I am Lieutenant Coast Guard David Hayward, the Maritime Lead Planner for Exercise Trade Winds. The purpose of this exercise is to bring together the regional and international partners so that we can strengthen our security response and our disaster mechanisms. This year's theme is a seamless states partnership for a secure region. And we want you, the Barbadian public, to be part of this. We need you to come out, volunteer, and get involved in the exercise. I implore you to make a difference as you volunteer to be part of this exercise. By doing this, you make a difference not only for yourself, but for our country. Thank you.
Exercise Trade Winds 2017, a seamless states partnership for a secure region.
CARICOM must become the stepping stone for penetrating global markets. This is according to President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Warren Smith. He was speaking at the CDB's 47th annual meeting of the Board of Governors in Turks and Caicos under the theme Integration, Trade and Economic Growth. Dr. Smith says as some developed countries begin to adopt protectionist policies, Caribbean states must focus on integrating.
We need to use CARICOM as the stepping stone for penetrating those non-CARICOM markets which still recognize international trade as a powerful underpinning for dynamic economic growth.
Dr. Smith added that benefits of CARICOM's functional cooperation up to this point cannot be ignored.
The benefits that have accrued to member states, especially from functional cooperation in health, in education, in security, disaster mitigation, and in the provision of common services across a wide range of human and social activity, have been significant and, most importantly, sustained. The furtherance of functional cooperation and the enhancement of the provision of common services are most relevant within the context of the fiscal crisis confronting a number of our Caribbean governments.
Foreign direct investment is key to enhancing growth and productivity in the region. And according to Director of Economics at the Barbados-based Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Justin Ram, greater levels of FDIs are needed at this time. That is until the region can get its savings up. Dr. Ram was among the panelists at a CDB seminar titled Enhancing Productivity and Growth in the Caribbean.
So that we can encourage more domestic investment. And that needs to be built on the clusters. What are the national clusters that we have, and how can we actually support that? But ultimately, supporting clusters, we need to have strong MSME development. Okay? And given the demands of the new economy, we have to think about how do we drive innovation. And that's all down to the knowledge economy. How do we encourage the reduction in cost of access to ICT and broadband.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Dr. Timothy Antone, is urging regional governments to move to adopt fiscal responsibility legislation.
That essentially allow you to deploy counter-cyclical fiscal policy, especially in times of downturn. And as somebody who was a financial secretary for a long time, I know for a fact that the last recession was made more difficult, or it was more severe and more protracted because of the fact that most of our countries could not deploy counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Essentially, it is when the economy is up, you spend a bit less, you save. When the economy is down, you spend more to cushion the effects.
The chairman of the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago is assuring the Children's Hospital in Couva will not suffer the same fate as the Brian Lara Cricket Academy.
And we say open a free children's hospital.
As calls continue for the Children's Hospital in Couva to be opened, the implementing agency for the institution is saying this.
To say that the hospital has been left unopened really is untrue. UDCOT got the hospital officially handed over in July 2016, 11 months after the official opening.
According to UDCOT Chairman Noel Garcia, following the official handover by the Shanghai Construction Group, a one-year defects liability period kicked in, and that comes to an end in July 2017.
If you go to Couva Hospital there today, the hospital is well maintained, well secured, and therefore it is kind of unfair to equate the Brian Lara Stadium with the Couva. It is chalk and cheese.
CNC3 took the chairman up on his offer and ventured to the Children's Hospital to see for ourselves. There we met Emily Carter, UDCOT's biomedical engineer, who's responsible for the institution. After a brief chat in the waiting room of the pediatric unit, our next stop was the radiology department.
As part of the radiology department, we have a 3 Tesla MRI. And now really, I see this as the pride and joy of the facility because it's the first 3 Tesla MRI, not just in Trinidad, but in the region.
Carter assures this MRI, as well as the other equipment in the hospital, are being maintained.
A peek into the world of sports is just ahead, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.